Well, Miss Tabi, let's have you reintroduce yourself to my peoples.
Sure, I can do that. Thank you so much, Alice, for having me on. I am Tabitha, and I am a Marine wife and mother to 4 children, ages 9, 12, 14, and 17.
You're busy.
Yes.
I don't know how you do it, girl.
Love it. I love it.
And you have been homeschooling for how long?
5 years. 5 years straight, and we did do my oldest second grade back years ago.
What got you started?
Well, this last 5 year stretch started, I'll tell you, I was a workaholic and working like 50, 60 hours a week. And I had 2 jobs. I was working at the school where my kids attended in the intensive behavioral intervention room. That was a lot of fun. I loved it. And I ended up with 2 concussions, and that put me out of work. And my oldest was 12 at the time, and he really wanted to go to Hollywood and act. And so I used that time where I wasn't working to take him to some background acting jobs. And you know what? I saw all these parents that were homeschooling their kids, and it looked so easy, so fun. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this isn't what I pictured homeschooling to be. Like, you can do all these other things and still homeschool. And so that's where I was like, okay, we're going to try it. And I pulled all the kids out and we started homeschooling 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago.
And the kids love it, or have they always loved it?
They do, yes. They looked at public school like it was a prison. They did not really enjoy it. And they had a very negative opinion of an education. It was sad. And so homeschooling really opened up their eyes to what education can be and how fun it can be, and that it's something you do every day. Even if you're not sitting down doing work, you're learning all the time. And that was the biggest thing that I realized, that being in the public school, they had really learned that it was long drawn out, lots of busy work, going here and there at a certain time. And that's not all it is.
Yeah, Andy and I were both the kind of students that if we didn't see a reason to do the schoolwork, we didn't want to do the schoolwork.
Right.
It was just a bunch of busy work. It was boring. I already knew the stuff. I did well on my tests. There was no reason to do the schoolwork. I totally get your kids there. Now, your oldest, is he planning on going to college, or what's his thought?
Right now, his plan is to get a business degree, and then he's going to learn a trade because he's of the mindset that he really wants to have his own business. And getting a degree in business really will help him with his thought process. And he seems to be a very giving child in his business that he has now. And he would prefer to do things for free a lot of the time. So when he first started his business, it was all donation based. He gave all of the funds to a wildlife rescue. And that was amazing. It gave him a lot of volunteer opportunity. And now I said, okay, now you're going to start using this as your career instead of going to, say, McDonald's for your first job. Start thinking about how you're going to save the money. You have to take into consideration expenses for your job, things like that, paying your employees. And so it's been a great learning experience for him. And I think that, getting his business degree is really just going to be the topping. It's going to be great.
That's so awesome. So, and he gets to go to school for something that he knows he's going to be using.
Exactly.
Which is amazing, because you get so many people who go to school for crazy things that end up owing so much money in college debt.
And they never get to use that degree and what they're
never use it. There's a guy I know from high school who went to school to be a weatherman, and he's managing a Shell gas station. So yeah, I'm like, it's not a huge meteorology, I guess, not a weatherman. Right. So what is the biggest challenge that you find homeschool parents are facing today?
For new homeschool parents, I would say the biggest challenge seems to be really feeling like they've been thrown under the bus, not really having a choice for homeschooling. They're kind of just, it's either I do this or I'm going to have to homeschool kind of situation. So they maybe didn't get a chance to research and find out their learning style for their children or what kind of a homeschool they want. It's just kind of rushed. And I think that's one of the biggest struggles right there, is feeling just rushed into it and then not having the resources, you know, at their fingertips for what they need to know. They feel a little lost. And that's a big challenge right there. And then another one would be, since last year, would be like social interactions and getting to go to functions and, you know, museums, homeschool meetups, things like that, kind of shut down a little bit. So I think they're opening back up, and, you know, it's really a good idea to join homeschool groups. And if there aren't any local, create one and share it. That's what I've had to do 2 times, because we move a lot. And so when we move to a new location, if I don't see what I'm looking for, I just create my own. And one area that's very lacking is homeschool groups that include teenagers. They kind of get lost in the shuffle, or a lot of teens don't want to go because they're nervous. And so I created a fun homeschool meetup group that's just for kids to meet up at the beach, at a coffee shop, and they hang out and talk. They might do games on their phone like Pokemon Go, but it gets them interaction and talking and having fun and meeting new people. And it's really just a relaxed environment and it's a safe environment to, you know, be around other peers. And it's a wide range of ages, because siblings come too. And so the kids get to interact with all different ages, and it's just really fun. But it is special for the teens because they get left out a lot.
You know, and for me, like when I tell people that Andy and I want to homeschool, it's the first thing that people say to us is, you know, they need the social interaction. And
right,
like there's plenty of other ways to get social interaction, whether it be through organized sports or clubs or homeschool groups. Like there's so many things out there, and people don't even realize that they're out there.
And the funny thing is, Alice, that when kids are in school, teachers are saying, this is not a place for socializing. This is a place for learning.
Yep, I was the one who got yelled at for talking too much.
And then they look at homeschoolers and say, well, are you getting any social interaction? Well,
yes.
Yeah, we're getting a lot. We're getting a lot of social interaction with adults. When my kids go to museums, they are carrying on a conversation with the people that are working there, asking all of these amazing questions. And I know they love it. And so they get interactions everywhere. Oh yeah, socializing happens.
It just blows my mind that people think that you have to go to school in order to get social interaction. I'm like, I work from home and I have more social interaction now than I ever did in my life.
Right. And it can be difficult if you're not putting yourself out there. You do have to look and reach out.
Yeah, it's not built
to get
in.
Those connections started. Right.
So I know when we tried to go live before, you were mentioning that just about anybody can homeschool. And the thought that came to me between then and now was, what about parents who are working full time? Do you have any suggestions for them?
So this is what I would say about that. Homeschooling doesn't have to be an 8-hour school day, first of all. That's a misconception. In public school, kids have so much busy work. The teachers have so many students to get to. That's what takes so much time. 3 hours is plenty, and it really it varies. That's an average time frame, but it can be less than that for your kindergartner. It can be more than that for your 17-year-old. But time frame, that's the biggest thing for parents who work, to think, oh my gosh, you know, I'm working, I can't homeschool my kids. Well, there are so many different curriculum options. Mm-hmm. There's online, there's book work, the boxed curriculum, but you can choose what works for you and your family. If you're working, do school in the evening. If that works for you, you can do it in the evening. Or if your child's older, they can definitely be in charge of their education. Once they get the swing of things, they get the hang of it, they can be in charge of their education. And I find that homeschooled children are very responsible and they're motivated for learning. And I don't know what it is about that, but I know my 17-year-old, he's learning whether I'm saying, hey, sit down and read this book and do this and that. He's doing it anyway. So I don't have to ask.
And that's like a huge thing that people have a problem with, is getting their kids to even do their homework.
And that's another thing. Parents are afraid to homeschool through high school. And it gets easier in the high school years. It really does. And that's where a lot of parents say, well, okay, I can't do that. I'm bailing out. My kids in high school, there's no way I can teach them high school. It is totally doable, and it is so fun.
I love it. I'm a lifelong learner, and I'm like so excited to be able to go on that journey one day and do all of this learning with my kids, because you're always learning something new.
You are.
So where did you start self-educating at?
Self-educating. I really reached out to a lot of seasoned homeschoolers. That was where I got my start. I felt on my own at first, and we weren't in any groups or anything. So I really felt kind of lost. So we did a curriculum that was all laid out for you online. And then I started meeting other moms who had been homeschooling for years. And I really noticed how every homeschool is different. It doesn't have to be public school at home. Your child doesn't have to graduate from high school at 12. And that was a big misconception. I thought, oh my gosh, all these homeschoolers are so smart. My kid's going to have to like do all of this stuff. All these boxes need checked, or I've totally failed them. It's just not true. It's not.
I've met your kids. I can guarantee you have not failed them in the least. What is one thing that you wish your younger self knew about homeschooling?
It would be all the boxes needing to be checked, that you have to be like everyone else and do what everyone else is doing. You don't have to do that. And I will say about this self-educating also, I enjoyed following a lot of homeschoolers on Instagram and Facebook, because I got a vision for what my homeschool, what I wanted it to look like, or, what I didn't want it to look like. And I also read a lot of books that really, really helped me look at the education path in a different way. And honestly, those books were recommended from a seasoned homeschooler, and it really put things into perspective. And so that was another huge one for that, just so you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But let's see. So in the beginning, definitely the checking the boxes. I thought everything had to go a certain way. I thought because we started a curriculum, we had to finish it, even if the kids were miserable, because I spent the money. Well, trust me, your sanity is worth more than the expense of the curriculum if they hate it. Definitely be willing to go down rabbit holes. If your kids are really interested in something, follow their lead and go for it, because it's worth it. They're really going to become an expert in something that they love, and the other things can catch up later. I didn't realize that in the beginning. And then just, taking the quizzes that tell you what kind of a homeschool mom am I, and what kind of learners are my kids. That's really important to know, because everyone doesn't learn the same way. So that was very helpful as well. I wish I would have known about that in the very beginning. And then not just diving in and grabbing a whole bunch of curriculum at first. I know a lot of parents do that. I just went straight for something that was all done for me online. And I don't regret that. My kids really didn't enjoy it, so we didn't do it for a second year, but definitely being willing to make some changes as you see they're needed.
That's awesome. And, you're talking about like the differences between public school and homeschool, and it's not the same at home. One of the things that just kind of came to my mind while you were saying that, I've done a lot of reading recently, and we've got a boy crisis in this nation. You've got 3 boys.
Yes.
We've got public schools that are catering to girls over boys because girl power and all of that. And I know your youngest, which is your only girl, has never been to a public school. So you probably haven't seen that so much in your own home. But did you see that like the boys were struggling in public school because of the way that it is structured, or?
Well, as far as feeling at a disadvantage, that hadn't really happened yet while my
Okay.
kids were. That's more of a recent thing for sure. And I'm glad that we were out of there before that happened. But the biggest issues we faced in public school, which I see a lot of parents mentioning this, is a bully issue or
Yes.
teachers not listening issue. We definitely faced a lot of that. And to be honest, my 14-year-old, he was really, really struggling. He was in a classroom picking his fingers till they would bleed. I mean, he was a nervous wreck. He felt stupid, and he is brilliant. He just needed a personalized education versus a one-size-fits-all education. And I mean, he has made leaps and bounds. He's writing a novel. He loves reading. So I feel like I couldn't have done it better.
Gosh, he's writing a novel, and I know your oldest is writing as well.
Yes, they all love writing.
Everybody's writing over in the Addams family.
Yes.
And you mentioned earlier that you're writing a book as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
I am. So having 3 boys with their dad being a Marine, all 3 of them have gone through a time in their life where they've said, I want to be a Marine like dad. And it was just so cute. They would wear the little camis and, you know, it was adorable. And one day this book just came to me while I was having my coffee out on the patio in the morning. And so I wrote a book for my children, and I am currently illustrating it 10 years later. 10 years later.
There's no deadlines.
No. And so I hope to have it published by the end of the year.
That is so exciting.
Yes.
Have you spoken with any publishers or anything?
No, I'm going to self-publish through Amazon.
I was going to say, I can actually connect you with somebody who works with self-publishing.
Well, let me know.
Yeah, I'll get you connected there.
Yeah. It's just, you gotta, when you set goals for yourself, you really have to see them through, even if it takes 10 years. I just want to be able to say, okay, I did it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm doing 75 hard right now. So that is something like I set a goal, and no matter what, I have to see it through.
Exactly.
So
it makes you feel good.
Absolutely. What is something you wish everybody understood about homeschooling?
Well, that it's an opportunity to get to know your kids. Because I feel like when your kids are gone all day, you don't really know them. And homeschooling is an opportunity to get to know your kids and get closer with them and understand where their mind is at and support them in their passions. And I know a lot of people used to look at homeschooling like they were the weird outcasts, you know. Yes. They made all their own clothes and didn't go out.
There's something wrong with that.
Right? Now I look at it a little differently than when I was 18. But homeschoolers can be considered weird. That's okay. I tell my kids all the time, hey, weird is good. That's all right.
I was in public school and I was weird. So right.
But I just think that, you know, if people could see homeschoolers, you know, the way I do, it's just a beautiful group of people who really love their kids. They want the best for them. You know, they want to give them every opportunity possible. And some parents, they do it because their kids are really good at sports and they want to give them time to practice. Or who knows, like they travel. There are so many different reasons for homeschooling. And I think, honestly, a lot of people are looking at homeschooling in a whole different light after last year.
Oh, gosh, yes. And for us, it was last year solidified our future plans.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's where we were at, because we don't ever want to be in that situation where your whole life is just turned upside down because now your kids are home full time and you weren't expecting it.
And one other thing I would say is that I'd love people to understand that anybody can really homeschool their kids. A lot of parents don't have the confidence to do it. They think, oh, I can't possibly do that. I don't understand my 5th graders math work. Well, do math differently then. You
Yep.
don't have to do it that way. You can be in charge of your homeschool, and anybody can do it. You really can. You've already been there and done it when you were a kid. You've
Yep.
gone through it all. You haven't forgotten everything, and you can learn right along with your kids too. Maybe you're going to get a second education even better than the first one that you had, learning from teaching your kids. It's okay to learn along with them.
Well, that's something Andy and I talk about a lot because he's really big into history.
Oh, yeah.
And the history that they teach in our schools is not accurate.
Right.
And so he was the kid in school that would correct his history teachers because he's already learned this stuff.
Yep.
And he's excited to be able to share that knowledge with any future children that we have.
That's amazing. And see, when you homeschool, you can choose, do I want to go with what the school's teaching? You can do it. Do you want to go with something else? You can do it.
Yep.
It's amazing.
So when you first started homeschooling, what was something that was more challenging than you expected?
The most challenging thing for me personally was finding resources and finding like-minded families. I seem to find a lot of families that really want this rigorous schedule and checking all the boxes. They still want to do public school at home, and that's just not our philosophy. That's not how we do it. So it is a little difficult to find your tribe, I guess you can call it. That was one of the biggest things for me. And then finding the resources, because they're just everywhere. And if you start following other homeschoolers, you're going to see links for different things. Read them. Reading as much information as you can is the best way to feel confident in homeschooling. So resources, that was something I had no idea how to find in the beginning. And then finding my tribe was a little difficult, but it's okay. You just don't give up. You keep trying.
Absolutely. And that's life. Like that's everyday life for all of us. We're all trying to find our people.
Yes.
So I know you said homeschool is not like public school. And from what I've seen, your homeschool is a pretty fun place to be. So how do you keep it fun and engaging for your kids?
Well, we really do talk about how they enjoy what we're doing. Through the years, we have changed so much, and we like to keep things fresh so that we just don't get stagnant and bored. And so we started out with online, and then we moved into a different online learning the following year. That was okay, but there was a lot of clicking around that wasn't great, but they did learn a lot. But they were kind of sick of being on a computer. My kids are kind of old school. The boys are anyway. They like books instead of technology as much.
That's amazing.
And at the time, they were obsessed with video games, okay? And so I was trying to find homeschool material that would bring in their interests, which was video games. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And I found Minecraft Fun School journals. Let me show you. See that?
That's awesome.
Okay. And that brought them in again. They were like, oh, this is different. Oh my gosh. So they'd do like these little books, and they would do their science on the actual Minecraft game, building different elements and all this other stuff. Okay. It was really awesome. So we found that, and then we were like, oh my gosh, fun schooling journals are amazing. It's interest led. My kids loved it. It taught them to research from all different areas, not just going right to the computer or Google, but to actually find resources in the library and in our home library. And it's amazing when kids can actually find information on their own and research on their own. It's amazing. And so that really kicked them off for that. And then this year we switched it up even more because it's my son's final year and he's graduating. So we went ahead and went with Hogwarts themed school. And it's been so much fun. They love it. They're not even sick of it yet.
That's awesome. Well, and like the thing I love the most about like being able to integrate their passion for something like Minecraft into schooling is like, that is so popular right now with so many kids.
Oh, I know. It brings me in.
They just want to play on the computer, and this gives them an opportunity to learn while still doing the thing that they find fun.
Right. And it makes them feel more valid, because a lot of times, you know, people are like, oh my gosh, you're not learning anything. You're just on these video games. But they can be educational. They even have a Minecraft educational platform. We don't use that, but it's there. And we just keep everything in moderation. I don't let my kids sit on a video game all day at all. But they do enjoy it. And I say, okay, that's all right. You can do that. We're also going to do X, Y, and Z, but have fun.
All right. And I know we've been talking about like building your library for homeschool and everything like that. And you've got a special source that you use to build your library, and you're opening up a small shop with them, right?
I am. Yes. I've just opened up a little bookshop, and my launch is tomorrow.
I'm so excited.
Usborne Books and More. And oh my gosh, Alice, they are the most beautiful books. This is my 17-year-old's favorite book for like 4 years now. It's still holding strong. It's about history. I know not everybody loves history. He's obsessed. Andy would probably like that.
I would say him and Andy would get along so well. They're both obsessed with history.
He's obsessed. Yes.
My TV is constantly full of history documentaries, and it's either history or politics at this point.
But then look at this. Okay, I've got animal lovers. This is a beautiful, I mean, just look at this. How fun is that? It's beautiful. So this is one that Logan, my 12-year-old, absolutely loves. They just have so many. Okay, this is my science guy. Brian is my science guy. He's slowly moving out of that and becoming the writer, but he still loves science. So here's a beautiful science book. They've just got a little bit of everything, and that's for my older kids, but they have cute books for babies, toddlers, grade school. I mean, it just covers the whole age group. It's amazing. I love them. I've had these books for 4 years, and I finally was like, you know what? I'm jumping in. I'm going to have my little bookshop because I love them so much. I'm
excited. I can't wait to shop from your bookshop because I need to get books for people for Christmas.
Amazing.
And that is like coming up right around the corner, and we don't even realize it.
I know.
And I've got to ship everything, so I have to get it early.
Yes, do it.
So where can everybody find you so that they can get your stuff?
I will throw a link at the bottom of the video for you after we're done, and awesome. They can go to the launch party tomorrow if they'd like, or just ask any questions you have. I am here to answer them.
Awesome, Tabi. Well, thank you so much for joining me again today.
Oh, I'm so happy to see you again. This is the most in a while.
I know. Face to face from across the country.
Yes, amazing. It was great seeing you, Alice. Thank you so much.
All right. I'll talk to you later, dear.